Welcome to Cinema Savants, your home for all your movie and TV news, with Todd Vandenberg, Lee Vowell, and Rob Steele. And coming up in this week's show, the X-Men are really confused. The Joker is really confused. But the Transformers seem to know what they're doing. Yeah, it's been that kind of a week. But before we get into the show, I'd like you to remind me? No, that's backwards. I'd like to remind you to like the show on Facebook and subscribe on iTunes or the Google Play Store or YouTube or wherever you happen to find the show, because it's everywhere. And visit the Cinema Savants website and visit the new store. We've got new stuff. We've got posters. Who knew? Anyway, on to the movie news, which is, why you tuned into the show, not to listen to me babble. I want to start off by talking about Apple's, I'm not sure what the S part of video on demand is, SVOD, streaming video on demand. That's what most of them are, even if it's on your TV, isn't it?
Kind of.
Anyway, some people are referring to the streaming project as expensive NBC. That's a very weird name, but the reason for it is they are intent on keeping all their content offerings family friendly. Now they've bought a few dozen shows to put on the network. Favoring broadly appealing family friendly fare.
That would make sense if you want to make money.
I'm with them on that. However,
broad appeal.
They're editing them. And here's where we might have some issues, because they're not only getting rid of things like profanity, and I get that, or sex scenes, that's fine. They're getting rid of religious iconography, which I'm kind of there with until you find out that some of their shows are Christian-based, and I'm wondering how you're going to do Touched by an Angel without the iconography. Wow, that'd be clever of them. But the one that really threw me off on this was they're getting rid of violence such as drawn guns. I get shooting guns. I get that being violent. A drawn gun is violent now. When did that happen? How did I miss that?
I hope they have a version of the Outlaw Josie Wales. Maybe like 6 minutes.
That's up. What was the movie we found a few months ago where they did that? Saving Private Ryan? They cut something out and it ended up being 90 seconds long.
Any scene with blood. I can understand to some extent that people want, edited versions, and this is not exactly something new. TV networks have presented edited versions of films for decades. If that's what you want, that's what you want. It's not what I would want, but more power to you. But it does kind of make you wonder if you're presenting a movie that has to be so heavily edited. That seems that you're changing the tone of the entire movie, which probably why would you be watching that movie to begin with? Like, for instance, the Outlaw Josie Wales. There is no family-friendly version of that movie. It's a revenge film about a guy who's trying to kill the soldiers who raped and murdered his family. So, nice family-friendly theme.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not saying that that's one that they've chosen, but I mean, all too often you do see heavily edited versions of movies that you probably don't want to watch that movie to begin with if the image of a drawn gun or a naughty word offends you. Not your kind of movie. There are plenty of movies that are, more in your wheelhouse. Go watch God Is Not Dead Part 97.
Nope, that's got religious iconography in it.
Yeah, well, that's really odd.
Well, the religious iconography apparently came out when M. Night Shyamalan, who is producing a psychological thriller for this service. Really? That qualify? Anyway, it's about a young couple that loses a child. Not in the where he was right next to us, not that kind of way. But crucifixes were in one scene and they had to be removed because Apple said no. Which is just
really
kinda
weird. Now, if they were showing The Exorcist, I can totally see why they want to get the crucifix out of that scene.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just weirdness.
That is weird.
But that's not the only place we got weirdness this week. Let's move on to the Dark Phoenix trailer, which finally came out. And did it make me want to go see this movie? No. No, I'm sorry. Until the X-Men are done by people who, have a clue, and Fox doesn't, because Fox is still doing this. There's a song in the background of this trailer, and the first line of the song is, "This is the end." And my first thought was, thank God, let Marvel take over now.
I imagine that was unintentional. I don't think they meant to be a meta statement, but it is a good one.
It works.
It does work.
They started off by... but they're doing the Dark Phoenix storyline without going into space. How? Again, they screwed it up this way the first time. And now, it doesn't look like a bad movie. It doesn't. It looks like it could be a good movie. It's a shame none of the X-Men are in it. It's whatever these characters are who have the same names and might bear a vague resemblance to, but no. Did you have any comments on the X trailer? I was not.
I have not seen the X trailer, and that's a deliberate choice because I'm not particularly interested in the Fox version of the X-Men universe. The first movie was good. This X2 was excellent, and after that they really fell off and have for quite a while. And Logan is a really good movie, except they made and we talked about it before. To me, they made a gigantic error in one of the plot changes there. But by making the wrong person be the guilty party, they completely screwed that up.
And then they turned one of their secretaries into someone who wrote a movie you're going to review on Friday.
Yeah, kind of like that.
Yeah.
It's just, they've not handled that well. Which you look at what they've done with the X-Men franchise, which is not much good. They made plenty of money, but not as much as they should have.
Yeah.
And Fantastic Four is like, oh my gosh, train wreck after train wreck. Yes. It's amazing that they gave Ryan Reynolds the keys and said, do what you want to do, because that's the only successful superhero franchise that they've been attached to. And it's 2 movies, so it's not exactly like it's a gigantic track record. But you do have to give them credit for at least knowing or having a clue. It's like, well, maybe this guy's got the right vision, and just let him run with it, because that definitely worked. Everything else they've done. How many X-Men movies are there offhand? Like, not including the Wolverine separate ones.
Not including the Wolverine ones.
What are you up to, 7? 6?
No,
okay.
7.
So we've got two good movies out of that. For baseball, that's a good batting average, but this isn't baseball.
No.
That's pretty poor.
Well, I suppose it could be another one if you counted the New Mutants movie.
Yeah, then throw in the Fantastic Four, which is another 0 for 3.
Check this out. As soon as this trailer came out. And the last thing you really see in the trailer is coming February 14th, 2019. Guess what they did?
Pushed it back.
They pushed it back. There was actually a bunch of them. Alita Battle Angel, which we have both said we want to see because just the fight scene in the trailer alone is really good. It was supposed to open on the 21st of December. That has been pushed back to February 14th, 2019. Dark Phoenix has been pushed back to June 7th, 2019. Gambit, which they haven't even started filming yet, has been pushed back to March 13th, 2020. And I'm sure they haven't announced it yet, but the New Mutants movie is likely to have been moved back to, I think it's probably going to be November 27th, 2197. At the rate it's going, good Lord, just bulldoze it and start over.
I almost think at this point it's just wait for the merger to go through and just tank this, and don't spend the money. Don't spend the money on ads and production, any further production. Just drop it.
But no, the Gambit movie is finally coming.
Sure it is.
Boy, director Simon Kinberg, who is somehow still attached to this movie. I don't know if it's an umbilical cord or a bungee cord or what, but he's somehow, unfortunately, tied to this movie. I say unfortunately, not for him, but for us, those of us who will be watching the movie. No, we're not going to watch this. He said that the Gambit film is going to be a romantic sex comedy.
Oh, oh my God.
Why?
Wow.
No, don't do that.
There literally is a movie called Trainwreck. They don't need to do this again. Wow. That's not a really good thought process there.
No.
Which I wasn't particularly interested anyway. I'm not a major fan of the character, but if it was someone interesting that was attached to it, it was like, okay. But and the fact that it's been in development hell for, what are we pushing, a decade now? Nah, I'm good.
At least.
And I'm really good with turning this into a romantic comedy. No.
It's that. I don't know what they were thinking. I really don't. Actually, I'm going to throw this in. I'm rearranging the schedule just a little bit because this makes almost as much sense. There's a movie coming out called The Girl in the Spider's Web.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming out in about 2 months. And it's a sequel to The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Okay, with you so far. However, 2 months out, after they've already spent a lot on advertising...
They have.
They're changing the name of the movie. Have you seen this?
I did not see that until I looked at your production notes.
Oh, dear.
It's like,
it is now The Girl in the Spider's Web, a new dragon tattoo story.
Okay.
Which leads me to acronyms. Because we have some movies that were Return of the Jedi, I've seen a lot as ROTJ. Fine. This movie would now be TGITSWANDTS. No. The title's not supposed to be that long. And that's the acronym. No. Don't do... You want to talk about something where they did it right?
Sure.
We can do that. My parents came to visit this weekend, and one of the things we did while waiting for my wife to get off work on Friday was we watched the new version of Murder on the Orient Express, which was a good movie. I enjoyed it. It's going to be fun when they make the sequel, of which there's going to be coming up, I think it's next year, December of next year. Death on the Nile. Okay. Where Kenneth Branagh will be returning as Hercule Poirot, and someone's going to borrow Donald Trump's hair for his mustache. That is the only thing I didn't like about it, because everyone has looked at it so far and went, it's clay. It's made out of clay. Why? No. Anyway, I digress. Death on the Nile has its first cast member that's not Kenneth Branagh. Gal Gadot is playing a character in it.
Very cool.
She's believed to be playing Lynette Ridgway Doyle. I don't know the story, but she's apparently going to be the main victim.
Aw, that makes me sad.
Yeah. Didn't bring the bulletproof bracelets with her.
She should have.
And the magic lasso. Who did it? Oh, it was Aquaman.
Short movie.
Yeah. But, that's fine. I was looking forward to seeing it anyway. I like Gal Gadot and whatever I've seen her in. Therefore, I'm looking forward to this just a little bit more.
There you go.
As opposed to. And we're back to the DC universe again. And I feel a swerve coming on.
Do you?
I do. There's a lot of pictures and some video footage that are coming from the Joaquin Phoenix version of the Joker.
There is. There is a lot.
There's a lot where Joaquin Phoenix is dressed as a clown. Not the Joker. That's a different look. It's a clown look, but it's not the Joker look. He's just a clown. Now, my thing is, they have announced that the character's name is Arthur Fleck. This is a name that has not been in the books. Ever.
Right.
And it's not Jack Napier, which was the name that Tim Burton gave his Jack Nicholson's Joker. Okay. So my thought is, could Joaquin Phoenix just be playing a clown that lives in Gotham and he witnesses the other Joker becoming the Joker?
Possibly. I like that version rather than one explanation is that this is an Elseworlds story, which I don't really. You can't get your regular universe right. Don't start doing Elseworlds films, please. Okay.
No.
It's just bizarre. I'm excited for Joaquin Phoenix to play the Joker, not in a Joker movie. It'd be kind of cool if he was actually in a Batman movie because
that might work.
Yeah, that would work great. I really don't understand the concept of we're still doing a Joker movie with Jared Leto, and it's like, why are you going to do that? That makes zero sense. We're gonna do 2 different Joker movies. We can't get a Batman movie.
I think there's a
together.
third in production, but I can't remember where I saw it.
And apparently there's a third one. There's a Suicide Squad sequel, and then they're going to do a romantic comedy with the Joker and Harley. Because
I did like the concept of what was it at the beginning of that movie? They're supposed to be actually having a cameo by Dr. Phil where Harley kidnaps Dr. Phil to fix the relationship between her and the Joker. That scene might be worth seeing, especially if they shoot him at the end of it.
I'll watch it on YouTube.
Well, I didn't say watch it in the theater.
That's true. You didn't. That's true. Yeah, it's just, man, if you talk about something that's absolutely rudderless and clueless, DC is like, we have 3 Joker movies planned, and maybe we're getting Batman finally off the ground, and apparently we've lost Superman, and wow. Good job.
Don't know what they're doing.
Great work, DC. Great work.
You want to hear something weird?
Always. Weirder than 3 Joker movies and
Weirder
no Batman?
than 3 Joker movies. I saw the new trailer for Bumblebee, the forthcoming Transformers movie. Mm-hmm. And this might actually look like the Transformers movie we wanted in the first place. The Transformers that are in this, including Bumblebee, look like the original toys or the TV show back in the 80s. Including, and I loved this because my favorite character in the 80s version was Soundwave, who for some reason turned from one of the biggest robots into a Walkman, basically. Including cassettes. I loved the concept of the cassettes. I don't know why. But they're in this movie.
But the cassettes is fun, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't remember that or never saw it or weren't around, like my kids are... I mentioned this to my kids and they went, Dad, what are you talking about? So,
yeah.
Anyway, if you see in the trailer the big blue boxy guy whose chest opens up and things fly out of it, that's him. And those things that are flying out end up being other people. I liked the idea. It was kind of cool.
It is. I like. This is the first trailer. This is the first Transformers movie that looks like it might be entertaining since, I don't know, like forever. Okay, I take that back.
The animated one back in '86.
Yeah, the first one is entertaining, but it's really not all that good, and they get progressively worse because it's the same movie over and over, regardless of who they put in for the humans. This one actually looks fun. Finally, it looks like it may actually have something going on, something to attach to, other than, oh my gosh, it's the end of the world again. It's if you're doing that same thing over and over, it gets kind of boring. Gets really boring, as a matter of fact. I mean, that's the whole point. That going back to Marvel, that's why they did Civil War, because they'd already done, the world's going to end a couple times. It's like, you know what? We can't really do that again. Let's get away from that formula and just bring the fight at a much more personal level that worked beautifully, and then they can go back to Thanos. So as far as the world ending, the bigger theme, you can't keep on going and doing the same thing, because every time the audience just gets really tired of it, and their box office is kind of showing that. It's like, oh my gosh, again, really?
Yeah.
So I like the fact that this looks like it's a much more personal story that you can really get attached to, instead of, oh yeah, look, they're going to blow up another city. Wow. I've not seen that special effect since Tuesday. Amazing.
And they used it on Trump's hair. I'm sorry. Moving on. a movie that's coming out not this October, but next October that I'm really looking forward to, which is kind of weird because I'm not into this kind of thing normally. The biopic of Mr. Rogers, starring Tom Hanks. They released a picture of him dressed as Mr. Rogers this week. And holy cow, he does. My mom even mentioned this to me while she was here. She goes, Tom Hanks is something of a chameleon. I'm like, well, I'm not sure I'd go quite that far because I can still look at it and go, it looks like Tom Hanks dressed as Mr. Rogers. But that's not a bad thing. It works.
It's not a bad thing. I like the take that they're doing on this movie because there have been a couple documentaries on him, which are both excellent. So I like the fact that it's not just a straight bio of him. It's more about a relationship between him and a journalist who really wasn't interested in talking to him at all. This is just an assignment, and is like, really, how awful this is going to be was the attitude going in, and then was apparently utterly charmed by Mr. Rogers, as pretty much everyone was that came into contact with him, and really realized this guy's legit. This person really is as kind as he appears to be, and this was a transformative thing for this person. So it sounds like it's going to be a really, really terrific movie.
I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. And Tom Hanks never exactly hurts, right?
No. Even in, Sully, he was still really good, even if what he was given wasn't the best to work with.
Right.
You can't blame Tom Hanks for that. Although...
No, he's fine in the movie, but nothing really happened with the character.
Can I blame Ralph Fiennes for the forthcoming Kingsman movie?
Sure.
Okay. He's set to play in the forthcoming Kingsman movie, directed by Matt Vaughn, releasing in November 2019. And it's not a direct sequel to the Kingsman 1 or Kingsman 2. It is a prequel that takes place in World War I. Why? Who asked for this?
Not me, but maybe it'll work. I mean, Wonder Woman was in World War I. Maybe they thought, hey, it worked for her. Maybe it'll work for Kingsman.
'Tis a thought. I don't know. I wasn't terribly impressed with either Kingsman movie, but
I liked them. They were okay. But I mean,
I'm not saying they were horrible. I was just
right. Yeah. It's not like, oh my gosh, you got to go see this movie. It's like, they're fun.
And that's about all I got out of it.
Yeah, same here.
But speaking of the Kingsman movie and biopics, let's put the two together because we've already noted repeatedly that the forthcoming Bohemian Rhapsody movie about Freddie Mercury looks excellent. So on a similar note, they released a picture this week of Taron Egerton of the Kingsman series as Elton John in the forthcoming Rocket Man movie. And first off, I think it's kind of weird that he's doing Elton John, even though Elton John was in Kingsman 2.
Yeah.
But he looks like Elton John.
Yeah.
So, he's got an advantage, too. He knows Elton John. Met him in the last movie. So, any thoughts on the Elton movie?
Yeah, I'm curious as to why we're getting an Elton John movie.
That, too. Well, see, that leads me to the question I wanted to end the show with, which was, we've got the Bohemian Rhapsody movie coming, which we're looking forward to, and maybe it's that neither of us are really big fans of Elton, that we're getting the Elton John movie and kind of going, eh.
Well, I like Elton John, but I mean, he's still around and actually still performing, although he's wrapping that up. Typically you get these at the very end of the career or when they're gone. I mean, and there have been some great musician biopics. Get Up, that was fantastic.
Yeah.
But I could see this happening maybe in 10, 20 years. I'm not particularly like, oh, wow, this is going to be cool. And I'm sure it's different for Elton John fans. Too old. Yeah, and then they can actually get another actor, and it won't be the end of it just seems rather strange.
I'll agree.
I'm sure Elton John fans are like stoked and thrilled, and
yeah.
And I like Elton John music, and I'm sure it will have a wonderful score. But it's just like okay, cool. So,
we got Queen, we've got Elton John. Who should be the next rock star biopic?
I don't know. Joan Jett.
That's not a bad thought.
It wouldn't be a bad thought. I'd much rather see a biopic about Joan Jett than Elton John. I've seen Elton John in concert, and it was great. But, whatever, fine.
See, something I was thinking, and I know Lee would agree with this if he'd bother to show up. I mean, if he were here. That's right. We're a man short this week, but that's okay. I wouldn't mind seeing one about Robert Smith and Susie Sue.
Yeah.
Actually link them together, because a lot of people don't know that Robert Smith from The Cure was one of Susie Sue's Banshees of Susie and the Banshees back in the day.
Could be a pretty interesting story.
I thought so. Have you seen the video that they did, that Susie did for Dear Prudence?
I've not.
Because it's really, you've got Susie looking all gothic and everything, like she does. And I'm sorry, I've forgotten the other ones. Budgie and the other Banshee that have been regular throughout the years, who are there looking all gothic and everything. And for some reason, Robert Smith is in this video as well, looking happy and bouncy and everything. Like you've never seen him anywhere else.
That's hilarious.
It's on YouTube. Check it out. It's not a bad version of the song.
I shall check it out post-show. That is fun.
That's Robert Smith, and he's smiling. What the hell? Anyway, this is actually kind of foreshadowing. We've had foreshadowing twice in this show. But what is it foreshadowing, you ask? That would be the show on Friday where we review the movies. So come back then. Until then, enjoy your week, and you know what? Go see a movie.
Captain, we're losing power in the warp engines.
I think we should be leaving now.
I'm going to go home and sleep with my wife.
And on that unusually harmonious bombshell, it is time to end.
I am very disappointed!
Man, we have a weird job.
It's shameful, but, it's a living.
And like that, he's gone.
Darn, that's the end.